Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make tiny improvements to your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon. Hello and welcome to the October bonus episode where I am going to give you the Cliff's Notes of what has been going on over in the Patreon group, specifically the book club. So if you are not familiar, there are bonus episodes every single week, and that is for people who have joined the Patreon group. And you can listen to those episodes just like you listen to these episodes, but it is a paid feature. So for $3, you get the book club episodes each week. For $5, you get those episodes and a little sticker. And now there's a new tier for $8 where you get even more episodes focused on money. So if you are interested, all of those options will be linked in the show notes. But this month in the book club episodes, we were reading Business Made Simple, and it is what it sounds like. It is a business book, which I am realizing more and more. These are the books that are really hit or miss with me. They tend to be really dry, but sometimes they do point out areas in my business that I completely neglect because I'm very much about what feels good, what I'm excited about, what makes sense. And I don't have a traditional business background. You know, I was a teacher and now I work at a college and then I started a balloon business. So some of these very practical, although quite boring, tips tend to really help me. So this book was selected because Business Made Simple is kind of the framework that we are going to focus on at Balloon Boss Summit, which is next week, actually. So I will be leaving right around this time when this episode airs, and we are going to be hearing from a Business Made Simple coach or consultant. We are all going to be focusing on some of these very practical, very strategic ways that we can simplify and streamline our businesses. So it was a very fitting book, but it was long. That was the thing I realized. At the very beginning of the book, the author says that if you implement all of these techniques, you're looking at like a 2-year process within your business. And your girl isn't going to spend 2 years on this book. So we spent a month, and I kind of went through and picked the chapters that seemed interesting to me to record the episodes about. And of those chapters, I had a few, I guess I would call breakthroughs, things that have really landed. And that is what I'm going to share in this episode. So in the first week, it was a lot about mission statement and getting all of your teammates on the same page. And the thing that stood out to me, the lasting impact from that section is this idea of talking about your business, which I'm really bad at. I'm very bad at talking about my business. When people say, "What do you do?" Like, I don't have a good thing to say. I'm always like, "Well, I do balloons." And then they're like, "What do you mean?" And then I'm like, "Oh, arches and columns and some corporate stuff. And sometimes I do birthday parties." And like, I just don't have like a spiel. I don't have a thing that I go to that I say. And I know that people have elevator pitches. I frankly think elevator pitches are super weird. Like, I feel like you have to be quite the actor to pull off an elevator pitch convincingly. Otherwise, it sounds very weird and rehearsed and forced. And I feel like sometimes people use really flowery language about balloons, like, "We're celebration specialists." And if you're talking to a regular person, like, what is that? What does that mean? Like, people need to know actually what you do, but you also don't just want to be like, "I do balloons." So I've never been able to kind of connect the dots. And this chapter was really a lot about storytelling and helping people understand what you do through story, which really landed with me. I would say it's kind of the first time that something has really landed that I've understood. And so much so because he gives us a formula. So this idea of when you're talking about your business, what you do, your mission statement, your elevator pitch, whatever you're going to call it, it always is easier to tell a story. And you should format it like this. You state the problem, you agitate the problem more, then you talk about how you solve that problem with your business, and then you say, because ... And that's the recipe. And I love it. It was the first time that someone gave me like a formula to follow. So over the month, I've been kind of playing with different versions of this, trying to figure out what works best for me. And I have kind of landed on this story that the problem is people want good balloons. They know what they want. They see them on Instagram. They see them on Pinterest. But I'm going to agitate the problem a little bit more. If you go to the grocery store, those aren't the balloons you want. And if you go to Party City and you order a bunch of balloons, those aren't the balloons you want. And if you order something on Amazon and you try to do a kit, that's just even more work. So my business bridges the gap between what's easily accessible and what you actually want. People don't want cruddy grocery store balloons. They want beautiful garlands and installations, but that's hard to do. So my company makes it really easy to get great balloons simply, basically. And then the ... is because balloons should be easy, not hard. No, balloons should be fun, not hard. So you can see I'm still working on it. So I'm trying to kind of streamline this narrative that people know what balloons they want, but they're not easily accessible at the grocery store or with the DIY kit. So my company bridges the gap between what people want and what people can get. And we make it really, really simple with easy ordering because balloons should be fun, not hard. So those are kind of the concepts that I am dabbling with, but yours could be totally different. Yours could be like, what's the problem? Maybe you focus completely on like delivery and installation. You're very like service oriented. So, everyone knows that you can order great balloons at Party City, but how are you going to get those to your house and how are you going to get them to your party? And you have a million things to do. We do all the work for you, handling installation, because our goal is to allow you to enjoy your party or something like that, so it could go any different way, but I love this idea of that formula. And then there's another section about how you can kind of streamline that even further so that you have like a one-liner that you can put on your cards, you could put in your email signatures. And mine is kind of shaping up to be this balloons should be fun, not hard, or fun, not difficult. I haven't really landed, but I am very much about ease and streamlining and making ordering simple for people. You might be all about custom. You might be all about affordability. Whatever your thing is, you can kind of come up with your own story to help explain what you do. So I really loved that. And again, if you are interested, there's an entire 30-minute episode just about that one section, but I am going to move on. The other thing that stood with me was an analogy that he shared about getting in the fast lane. So if you imagine your business, and I am really guilty of this, I get distracted a lot and I need to stay focused. And he says, if you are on the highway and you're in the right lane, well, I guess it depends where you are in the world. I know there are some people who listen in other parts of the world, but in the US, we drive on the right side of the road. So the right lane on the highway is where all the exit ramps are. So that's how you would then get off and go to the gas station, get off and go to McDonald's, get off and go, whatever. But the passing lane, the fast lane, is the left lane. That's where you can basically cruise control. You're going 70 miles an hour. You're not even tempted by the off ramps because you're not in that lane. You can't go to McDonald's right now because you are too busy going 70 miles an hour in the fast lane. And that is how you want your business to be. You want to be so focused on what you do and what makes you money that you are not distracted by all of these little off ramps that are going to slow you down dramatically. So imagine taking a road trip and stopping at every single gas station versus getting in the left lane and never stopping once. You're going to get there a lot faster and a lot easier and without the decision making. For me, that's always what it comes down to, is this idea of the should I, shouldn't I, will I, won't I, is this good, is this not good? Just getting rid of all of that and just being in that fast lane saying, this is what I do and this is all I do and this is the most important thing that I need to do every day. That amount of clarity really, really appeals to me. And I have actually had a couple of situations since reading this book where I have either felt myself getting on an exit ramp and it's like, no, I can't do that right now. Or there have been times where I'm already at the gas station, I'm already at the McDonald's, and I have had to say, like, you know what? I can't do this project right now. I need to get back in the fast lane and do what I do really well. And that is selling balloons, making things easy for people, making the process really simple. And at the end of the day, above all else, above, this podcast, teaching, selling courses, anything I do that makes any amount of money, selling balloons is 10 times more profitable. That is what makes me money. That is what I need to focus on. So even though I have a million cool projects that I want to do, some balloon related, some not, I have to focus on selling balloons to corporate clients. That is my fast lane, and that is where I need to stay. So I loved that analogy. And then the final chapter that we focused on, the final section, is the idea of making things measurable, profitable, and scalable. So I have a lot of stuff I want to share about these three areas, mostly because I've never focused on them before, and also because they dramatically impact your team. And I now have a team. Even though it's very small, it's very lean, it's very part-time, I have hired someone to inflate my balloons. So I need to put on my little manager hat and figure out what I'm doing here. So that is what I'm going to talk about with this measurable, profitable, and scalable. But let's take a quick break and hear from a sponsor, and then I will get into all of the details of this last big takeaway from Business Made Simple. If you haven't checked out Havin a Party Wholesale yet, what are you waiting for? And guess what? The deal just got even sweeter. Our friends over at Havin a Party have set up a special coupon code just for listeners of the podcast. Use code BRIGHTBALLOON for 5% off the next time you check out at Havin a Party. So head over to havinaparty.com for your next balloon order. All right. Welcome back. So let's just review my two big takeaways. The mission statement through storytelling. I think that was so wonderfully stated and something I will absolutely use. And the idea of getting in the fast lane and stop getting distracted by all of the exit ramps. So those were my two big takeaways. Now, this whole last section is something that I really need to work on. It's not as easy as just like an analogy to live by, like the fast lane thing. This is going to be much more of a process of implementation. So there's a large part of this book. Well, I guess all of the book is focused on value-driven businesses, value-focused businesses. So this idea that like you can fill your whole day with things, but if they are not bringing value to your company, then why are you doing them? And then that kind of magnifies or compounds, if you will, if you have a bunch of employees and they're all filling their days with who knows what, and is it even bringing any value, financially or otherwise to your business? So this concept that like, if you are really focused on what brings value, what is profitable, then if all of your employees are really focused on those same things too, your business is going to be like a money-making machine. So the way he breaks this down is this idea that everything that you do and everything that your employees do should be measurable, profitable, and scalable. And that's it. That's really simple. Like, and for someone like me who likes to do ideas here and there and likes to, reorganize my balloons and order logo wear and redesign my website, like at the end of the day, if that's not what I'm trying to, measure because it's not bringing me more profit and it's not going to scale, I don't need to waste my time on that. You want to be focusing on your areas, your key performance indicators is what he calls them, in your business that are going to make you more money. And those things need to be measurable because if you can't measure them, you just don't know. If you do not know how many Instagram followers gives you X number of sales, then there is no point in tracking or focusing on Instagram followers. If on the other hand, you know that, for every post you make on Instagram, you do $100 in sales, then that is something worth focusing on a little bit. Or if you think, our goal right now is to sell grab and go garlands because I make $75 for every garland I sell. That's incredibly measurable. It's also incredibly profitable. And it's incredibly scalable because that is something you can do really quick. For you, it might not be garlands. It could be columns. It could be whatever. But if you don't even take the time to figure out what that is, then maybe you're going to be, advocating for here's this custom sculpture of a Grinch for Christmas. How profitable is that? And how many of those could you make? Probably not very profitable and not very scalable. Versus could you pitch 20 candy canes? You could crank those suckers out in half the time. They probably are way more profitable and they're scalable because that is something that you could bring a team in to do for you. So it's kind of shifted my thinking in terms of not only what I'm trying to sell, but also how I'm measuring that success. Because I think I like everybody get in the trap of measuring sales. How much have I sold? $100,000 in sales. Who cares? If it costs me $90,000 to do those jobs and I've only made $10,000, that sucks. Like, I much rather do $50,000 in sales and keep $30,000 of it. So that's this idea that it should be measurable and it should be scalable, because there are other things that if you sell one of them, they could be profitable. If you sell 50 of them, they're maybe not so profitable anymore. If all of a sudden you're renting a bunch of U-Hauls and you're having to hire a bunch of employees for time and a half, there are all these factors that come into play that I frankly never think about because I don't have a large team. But when you get to the point where you're scaling, where you're doing more business and more business, are you actually making more money? Or is it costing you money? Something super simple would be like arches. If you have one framework for an arch, one arch is going to be really profitable. If you sell 5 arches and you don't have the framework for those arches, they're going to be less profitable the first time. They're going to be more profitable the second time you start reusing that framework. So there's all of these built-in things that I frankly just have never really tracked. Because I haven't needed to or I haven't wanted to. So again, I haven't figured all of this out yet. It's just something really interesting to focus on. What are the most, tangible ways that I really am going to focus on these ideas is the very first step. I'm less worried about the profitable and the scalable. I'm not there yet. But the measurable, I think, is really, really practical. Is everything that you are doing measurable, and is everything that your employees are doing measurable in the sense that they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing? And as a manager, as a terrible manager, I am frankly really guilty of my employees not having a ton of clear direction, which is ironic because at my day job, I am the employee and I also don't have clear direction. And it sucks. It's really frustrating. I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to just basically fend off a million emails in my inbox every day. Right now, that's literally my job. I'm like an inbox ninja. I'm just trying to solve everybody's problems. And that makes you feel really unaccomplished at the end of the day. Versus if my boss sat me down and was like, listen, you're going to have to do your job. It's going to be hard. I know you do a lot. But at the end of the day, the only thing that I want you to focus on is how many tickets you sold for the Christmas concert. Boom. How simple is that? That gives me total clarity on what I'm supposed to be doing. But I don't have that, and it's frustrating. So I certainly don't want to be that type of manager. So ways that I'm going to try to make improvements, my first step is going to be to get everything in writing. I am really guilty of just kind of verbalizing and communicating bits and pieces here and there. I really need to get things in writing, from checklists of what should be in my kit to where things belong, get everything labeled, get recipes written down. I have always worked by myself, so now working with someone else, she's asking great questions and I need to write down those answers so that when she leaves one day, those answers are ready for the next person. Nothing is written down. Nothing that I do is written down. And it is a quick learning curve because now I have someone who is depending on me for that clarity, for that measurable way to know if the job is done and if the job is done right. The other thing I think that is measurable is money. And this is what's really interesting with my inflator. I pay her by the garland, or I pay her by the foot of balloons. So what she accomplishes, it is really measurable. And it's motivating because she knows if she does one garland, it's $10. If she does 5 garlands, it's $50. But the time is what she controls. So she could do 5 garlands in 3 hours, or she could do those same 5 garlands in 30 minutes, and she makes the same amount. And I'm just as happy. I don't care how long it takes her. So by having that measurable time and pay rate, I think she and I could get into a really good groove of like, where can we shave off a second here? What can we streamline? Is it helpful if I pull the balloons in advance, or is that wasting time and you actually just want to pull the balloons straight from the jars on the wall? Like, what can I do to help you? And in that way, I'm almost acting more of her like as a coach. Like, how can I help you make more money versus is everything good? How's it going? Good. Okay. Yeah. In the book, it says that's like the worst type of manager. That's just like checking in and kind of pretending to be a cheerleader. And in that situation, no one wins, because like what does that do? Like it's just a little bit of encouragement. That's not as encouraging as doing your job well and making a ton of money from it. All right, I have one more kind of epiphany. It's along the same lines of working with an employee and making money. I'm going to share that after our second sponsor break, and then we are going to wrap up.
Are you facing some competition? Hi, I'm Jeff from Asset Lab, and we help balloon decor businesses stand out online and generate more leads, more phone calls, and more contact form submissions through great online marketing. We can help you with your website, social media, advertising, Google search, you name it. We've helped balloon decor businesses with it. Learn more about us at assetlab.us.
Okay, so welcome back. The final epiphany that I had from this book, I think because it is so black and white, it is so nuts and bolts and like, I would say kind of boring or dry, but it's the type of stuff we need to know, like it can't all be fun. It can't all be balloons and colors and like parties all the time. There are these practical business tips. And one of the things that came to my mind from this whole like measurable, profitable, scalable idea is that for the first time in my business career, I am happy to spend money. I am happy to pay someone. I have always seen paying people as losing money. And for the first time, now that I have someone to inflate, and because I pay her by the garland, by the foot, I know that I'm never losing money. I'm never wasting money. Could I do it myself? Yes, but I'm past that. I'm totally happy to have the free time to sit down on the couch and watch TV versus inflating balloons. So yes, technically I could save more money if I did it myself, but that's not scalable. So now for the first time, I am looking at it like for every $10 I'm paying her, I'm making $115. So I'm excited to pay her. When I pay her $40, I made way more than that. When I pay her $80, I know I'm making way more, and I am really, really motivated to sell because that means I'm making more and she's making more. And I'm 100% sure that I'm covering my costs because again, she's not hourly. She's not in there dilly-dallying for 3 hours and then I go out and I'm like, what were you doing? I don't know what you were doing, because she and I are so focused on the things that make money, and it's inflating and selling balloons. It is that simple. I am selling the balloons, she is inflating the balloons, and we are delivering them. It's not rearranging my shelves. It's not painting my wall a cute color and ordering a new neon sign. It's not all the stuff that I love focusing on, frankly. It's the day-to-day, the streamline, nuts and bolts of selling balloons. That's how you make money. You sell balloons. And I love this idea that I am so thankful that I get to pay her to do something that makes her money. And she's thankful to have this fun side hustle where she gets to come in and zone out and do this mindless inflating that she thinks is really fun. And I'm also very thankful for her allowing me to learn. She's the perfect person that I found that I would have never had to put my little manager hat on if she weren't here. I am growing in new ways because I have an employee now. So if some of you are on the fence about, hiring, I dragged my feet for like 7 years. It seemed too overwhelming. It seemed too difficult. It seemed like I could just do it faster myself. I feel like I have really leveled up my business just in the last month. And then reading this book, I've for the first time gotten excited about growth. I've never wanted to grow. I've never wanted to scale. I make plenty of money, honestly, is what it comes down to. I make enough. And for the first time, it's not about the money. It's about being proud of a team, and it's about making her money. The more I sell, the more we all make. And how cool is that? So that was just, that wasn't like a chapter in the book. That was just something that kind of I realized through this idea of keeping everything measurable, profitable, and scalable. Like, it's at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to those things. So I am really excited about this book. I'm excited about going into the new year. A lot of these things that I just mentioned are going to feed into my goal setting. I'm definitely going to have some goals about writing things down, about recipes, about checklists. I can't wait to really sit down and have the time to focus on that stuff, because my cleaning girl, she has been coming for 9, maybe 12 months now, and I have not written down a darn thing. The closest I've gotten was that I hung a whiteboard and I write down the same task list every single week for her to come and do. Why have I not just written that down on a piece of paper? And laminated it? Why? So sometimes you just need the right book at the right time to kind of light a fire, and this one certainly did. So if you would like to learn more, so what did I just do? I shared 25 minutes about this book. So there are 5 30-plus minute episodes all about these concepts waiting for you over in the Patreon group if you find that interesting. Also, there are 50-plus other episodes from old books that you immediately get access to when you become a member. Some of my favorites are The Pumpkin Plan, You're a Badass at Making Money, Make Time, which was like a cool time management book. And coming up in the future, next month, we are doing Chill and Prosper with Denise Duffield Thomas, who's one of my favorites. Then we're going to do the 5-second rule, and then we are moving on to Do Less. So I love this book club. Like, my business has transformed because of the books in this book club. And I know many of you read along, many of you just listen to the episodes for fun, like bonus episodes. You do not have to read the books, but the little nuggets of knowledge that I have gained from each of these books have 100% transformed my business this year. So if you would like to join us over in that Patreon group, there's now 115 of us over there. So that is so cool. And we'd love to have you. I will talk to you next month to do the overview of Chill and Prosper, but next week with a regular episode. As always, thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. If you're interested in bonus episodes, head over to our Patreon group where I release a brand new episode every week in our book club. Each month, I read through a brand new self-development book that helps us all grow and learn in our businesses. Or join the brand new Money Archetype tier and gain access to bonus episodes and resources all about your money archetype. For more information about any of the resources in this episode, check out the show notes or head to thebrightballoon.com.